speak on justice for Flint, because all of the charges have been dropped. We're up against the statute of limitations. Go for it.
So, what's fun is that when you have a governor and an attorney general who campaign on justice for Flint, promise to open the water pod so we can have people have access to clean, safe water, because it's not that way yet, and it won't be until all the pipes are replaced. Then to turn around after you get elected, to stand next to us and use us and text us and talk to us and ask for our help and ask for us to stand with you. Then to turn around, no longer speak to you, and then say, no more funding for Flint. That's enough. The $389 million that was allotted for Flint, which, by the way, most of it went back to state programs. So the state just cycling the money through, which, of course, not really any of those programs are what we asked for. That is another big, huge problem. We should be the ones that define justice and what recovery looks like to us, but no one will listen to us. People from the outside, people who have not been touched by this, people who are in charge and who caused this are the ones that are defining what justice should look like to us. Who do you think you are? While people sitting in jail is not going to make my water safe, it's going to let me know that it's not okay to poison poor people, to poison the residents of Flint, Michigan, and get away with it and walk away. But instead of carrying on what Todd Flood and his team had built for 3 years with people going to trial for manslaughter, hooray, a little bit of justice saying it's not okay to poison and kill off Flint residents. It's not okay to do that. If you're in office, if you're a state official, that's not okay. For the Attorney General who straight out campaign saying that, justice for Flint, I'm going to get justice for Flint, and then poof, drops all the charges without telling us. I found out from a New York Times reporter, and saying that we don't want to hear what you have to say, yelling at me when I asked questions. And it's been nonstop silence, and them putting their fist away or their hand away like this, saying, no, we'll tell you what justice looks like, which apparently means, to them is nothing, for us to shut up and go die quietly. And honestly, I think all of this is to keep this out of the news, so that way it can look like Michigan's doing well. We're not. And so certain people can rise up the ranks in the political, Governor Whitner just co-chair of Biden's campaign. So somebody should probably rethink that, because guess what? We're not okay. We have no justice, no charges pending. The statute of limitations coming up next month upon the 6-year anniversary of, guess what? These people are getting away with it, keeping their 6-figure job and benefits while we're over here still suffering and dying in Flint. Cool. So you're saying if I poison somebody, I'm going to jail. That's bad. But you can poison 100,000 people and keep doing it and keep lying to us, and that's okay? We were in the Michigan Supreme Court, where the Attorney General's office is still fighting our damages claims. That would give us money to not be rich, but to actually repair our homes, make it safe to live in our homes, or to move if that's what we so choose, because that should be our choice, not somebody else's. But that's okay. Well, apparently they're okay with just throwing that away and actually tossing this in the trash and saying, know what? No. We don't want to give you your damages, which I believe they've just wasted so much taxpayer money fighting us. Like, one of their defenses is saying that it should be tossed because we didn't figure out soon enough that they were poisoning us and lying to us. And the first thing we should have done was go to court over it. With the no evidence we had, as they were calling us crazy and liars, they were saying that we should have sued sooner. And we should have figured it out sooner. Oh, well, thanks. We trusted you. I guess that was our biggest mistake. And then also saying that, you know what? No, the residents of Flint shouldn't be able to sue the state who is responsible. They can go home and get an individual lawsuit and sue somebody else that's not responsible. Cool. That's what our remedy is. And, it's just, I'm sitting there listening to these arguments and how, one of the judges pointed out, how is it that the Attorney General's office felt that what was done to Flint by the state officials were so egregious that it warranted years in jail with these charges being pressed, trials moving forward. But yet on the other hand, you're sitting here saying that it's really egregious and that's bad, but we shouldn't be able to sue to get any kind of remedy to fix what was broken to our bodies and our homes and our lives. Okay, that makes no sense. But again, nothing does. As long as the people who are in charge of poisoning us and hurting us are in charge of our recovery, we don't have one. And this needs to be, people outside of Flint need to see this, because if they're able to sweep Flint under the rug and get everybody believing that we're just fine, or we're just sitting there with our hand out wanting something for free, what do you think they're going to do when it happens to your community? Because now, with rolling back the environmental regulations, the mess of the new lead and copper rule they put out, it's going to happen. And what they're doing is making the people who poison you accountable only to themselves. And they're the ones going to be in charge of fixing that poisoning if they admit that it happens. So again, we're doing everything we can to fix us, but also to prevent us from happening everywhere else, and it already is.
Well, hopefully Jordan and I have a story coming out soon. Hopefully it may lead to some additional justice. That's all I'll speak on about that. But any last words that you want the audience, the people out there, to know what the people of Flint need or are going through?
What we need is real change. What this country needs is real change, not people afraid to take those steps or to make the funders and the wealthy angry. It's to look at the people, look us straight in the face because we're you, and say, okay, we're going to stand with you because Dr. King said, if the poor and middle class stood together, we could take our country back, and that's why he was murdered. To stand up for the poor, the poisoned, the minorities, everybody that is being oppressed, that if they all went across party lines, income lines, racial lines, and stood together realizing we actually have the power, then we can fix what is broken, and no other people like us have to become like Flint.
Do you think that people should join Status Coup as a member?
Well, absolutely, because seriously, while mainstream media, dropped us like right when everything was blowing up, and I always tell this story that I was standing with Tony DeCopel outside of the State House for the State of the Union where Snyder was going to address the Flint water crisis for the first time, and we're standing outside in the snow, freezing, getting ready to do our interview, and I got bumped because Sarah Palin endorsed Trump. Oh my God. So that is the way it's been. We're sitting here like, okay, we're at the what we thought was going to be the top, and the world was going to find out and help us. Crap. Mainstream media is like, well, Trump farted, so we're moving on. And that's the way it's been, except for you guys. You guys have not left our side. You guys have sat outside on sidewalks all night long when, Flint water activists were arrested for wearing hats in a church. I mean, you guys stayed with us through all the ridiculousness. You guys have come to my house when I'm sick and my house is torn apart because of water leaks, and sat in the mess of my house with me, sat with sick people holding their hands. You guys went door to door with me in the summer, and it was 100 and something degrees, and I was more worried about, you guys keeling over, but you didn't let it stop you. So all these things to get out the truth, and that means the world, and no one can realize how important it is to have honest, independent media until they don't, until your voice, as much as you're screaming and yelling, goes nowhere because it bounces back against a giant PR machine that wants to silence you. So we appreciate you guys, because without you guys, I don't know if anybody even cared that we still existed, or even know that Flint's still in crisis and very much a disaster area that is just being ignored and swept under the rug. So we appreciate you guys, and it's important to join and support Status Coup for serious, because otherwise you're not going to hear stories like mine, voices like mine, hear, Nayyirah Sharif speak, hear people on the front lines of every crisis across this country actually get to be heard and hear like what we need and how we can all stick together to stop this from happening. So thank you guys.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.